All right, so we've already begun domain and range. You guys have an understanding. Domain is all of the, it's not y-intercepts, it's all of the x inputs. And then the range is all of the outputs, or the y's.
Oh, okay. Doctor. Yeah, I know it is doctor.
So you had it backwards. So all of the inputs are x values, all of the outputs are y values. So here we have a cute little definition with a little machine to help you kind of picture this in your head. A function is a relationship that pairs each input with exactly one output. Okay, so function, think of function as the formula that makes the machine work. Okay, the domain is all of the input values, or x. The range is all of the output values, or y. Okay? One thing I really want you to make sure you saw or read was it pairs each input with exactly one output. Okay? So I can't have two different possible answers in my output. I can't say if I input a 1, I can either get a 3 or a 4. That is not true. It has to be only one answer possible for each input that you put in. Okay? Function form, does that look familiar to you guys? It should. All a function is we're taking the linear equation that we've learned over the last forever and creating a function out of it. So what they do is they replace this y with the function of x. That's all that is. If it helps you, whenever you see f of x, go, okay, this means y. Same thing. That's fine. Okay? What this formula is telling you is that when I have an equation here in the middle, when I plug in my x value, I'm going to get a y value. That's all a function is, okay? So let's practice some of this. Look at example 1. Okay, so they've given you a graph, and they want you to find the domain and range of the function. So when you have a graph, what do we have to do?
Find the points?
Find all the points, yep. Find all the x and y values for each point. So let's just start with the leftmost point. X would be what?
-3.
And y would be? -2. Okay, for the next point. X would be? Anthony? X would be for the second point that I have circled up there?
-3. Oh no, -1.
Thank you. And y would be, Yawali? Yeah, sorry, I kind of drew over it. Y would be 0. Okay, the next point, Sean, give me x.
1.
Kim, give me y.
2.
Good. And the last point, Sophia, give me both. X is?
3.
And y is?
4.
Very good. So then when I write my domain and range, very simple, right? You're just listing all the stuff you figured out. What's my domain?
-3, -1, -3.
-3, -1, 1, and 3. Why did she list it that way?
Because there's from least to greatest.
Very good. Awesome. All right, and the range? Anthony, you want to give me the range?
The range is -2, 0, 2, and 4.
Very good. Yay. You guys got domain and range. The cool thing is you get a whole bunch of points for this. I give you 8 points for each one. So this is worth 8 points. This is worth 8 points. So this whole problem is worth 16 points. Yay to your grades. Okay? All right. So grab your paper on your own number 1. I'm going to go ahead and grab on your own number 1 and 2. So I'm going to grab 1 and 2. That way I don't have to rewrite. So the domain and range represented. So since we know it's a graph, we're going to have to find the points. Now, I don't care if you write them on your paper anywhere, or you can write them. Oh, well, this is not a worksheet. Yeah, you need to write them on your paper, not your. If it was a worksheet, you could write them next to the point, was what I was trying to tell you. So this point would be what? X is? And Y is?
-3.
Negative 3. So the next one is, X is what?
Which one are you talking about?
The second one, I go left to right.
Oh,
-1,
-3.
-3. The next value is
1.
1 -3.
-3. That's a terrible -3.
And 3.
Okay, so my domain would be,
-1, 1 and 3.
very good, and my range would be?
-3.
You don't have to write it more than once.
Wait, so if you have like,
If you have repeating numbers, you can just write -3.
so you have 2 numbers, you just put it as 1 number.
Correct. Yeah, if I had 1, 2, 2, and 4, I could say 1, 2, 4. You don't have to write 2, 2.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
because I did that on the Excel.
Well, it's not wrong. It's just extra work. Okay, so let's find the domain and range of the next function. I always start leftmost point. So this one up here, what's this one? Yep. -2, comma, 4. Next one? -1, 2. Very good. The middle one?
1, 2.
Try again. Did it go anywhere? Yeah, 0, 0.
What was the first one? Is it -1 or?
No, -2.
It's a -2.
-2, 4.
Oh, -2.
-2, 4, and then -1, 2.
Okay, so what's this fourth one we're doing?
1, 2.
1, comma, 2. And the last one?
2, 4.
2, comma, 4. Very good. So the domain for this one would be?
-2.
I don't know, would be.
-1.
-1.
-1.
0, 1, 2.
1, 3.
Very good. Don't forget the vertex. The range would be?
4. No. 0, 1, 2, 4.
That 1 is your x value.
Oh, okay.
So 2,
Yeah,
4.
0, 2, 0.
It's 2, 4 on both sides, right? So you don't have to write 2 2s and 2 4s. She's right, 0, 2, and 4. Good. Easy points. Okay, so we talked about what function form is. It has to be solved into y equals plus b. If it's written like this, is that function form? No. You would need to rearrange this and say y equals -x plus 1. Is this function form?
Yes.
So function form is slope intercept.
Solved is slope-intercept form. It's solved for y, absolutely. Good. All right, example 2. Okay, this is when you're looking at a table. Oh, this is how they solved everything. Okay, so they told you the domain is represented by 2x plus y equals 8. Is this in function form?
No.
No, so we need to solve that. How would I get this in function form? Anthony, what's my first step? Putting that in function form. I gotta get the y by itself.
Also, you subtract the y.
No, I would leave the y.
Yeah, my bad.
It's all right. So I'm left with y equals -2x plus 8. Is that in function form?
Yeah.
Yes. So then they want you to use this to solve when they tell you that the domain is -2, 0, 2, 4, and 6. So if they tell you the domain, can I find the range? Yes. What you're going to do is you're going to take each input here and you're going to plug it where the x is. So then I do the 0, plug it where the x is. I do the 2, I plug it where the x is, and so on. What you can see here is they've created a table to show the work that you would do. Okay? So you see my input here at -2. When I plug it in where the x is, see where the x is here? My output is 12. If I plug in 0, I get 8. If I plug in 2, I get 4. If I plug in 4, I get 0. And if I plug in 6, I get -4. What would these be considered?
Range.
Very good. Those are the range. So the range would be -4, 0, 4, 8, and 12. Okay, so the table is just showing you a very methodical way that you can solve this. If you're visual, I would recommend you doing the work this way. Okay? All right, everybody got that? I can give you a minute. All right, excuse me. Let's look at 3. The table shows the percent y in decimal form of the moon that was visible at midnight X days after January 24, 2011. January 24, 2011. A wants us to interpret the domain and range. B, what percent of the moon was visible on January 26? Okay, so January 24, 2011 stands for the 0. Okay? That's very important you understand that. When we started this little chart, 0 is on January 24, 2011. Okay, so first, which one of these would be domain?
The domain would be X.
Which, okay,
Yeah.
X, which is, list them out.
0.
0, 1.
2, 3, 4.
Very good, so there is your domain. What would be my range?
Your range would be 0.76.
No, 0.32.
Oh, no.
Very
Yeah,
good.
I forgot.
No, that's fine.
43,
43.
54, 65, 6.
Make sure you put the 0 in front of it. Because if you leave that out, it wouldn't be correct. Make sure you're writing this down. Domain and range, very good. So then that's A, was to interpret domain and range. Okay, now let's explain what domain and range. All these x values, what are they representing, like actually representing? Well, what does 0 represent?
The midnight days, right?
January what?
24.
24. So this would have been the date of the 24th, right?
Yes.
So this would be the date of the,
25th.
26, 28.
so domain are the dates on the calendar, right? What did the range represent?
The range represent the amounts decreasing.
Don't read the answer. I want it in your words, not the book words. What do you think those mean? Those are what? Read the paragraph at the top. The table shows the percent
Visible.
of the moon visible. So the range is the percent of the visible moon. Good. All right, so B asks us, what percent of the moon was visible on January 26, 2011? Well, if 0 was 24, what day is 26? If 0 was 24, what date is 26?
No.
First, what? 2. So this is the 26th. So what percent of the moon was showing?
54.
54. No, 26.
There was 4 different answers. Sophia's the only one who had the right one. 54 what?
54%.
54%. Okay. Got to be able to interpret these charts, guys. Good. Any questions on how we did this?
No.
All right, let's do the next on your own ones. Copy and complete the input-output table for the function, then find the domain and range. Ooh, I'm going to take a picture. You guys write it down. You write that chart. Okay, so we have all of our input values, right? Already given to us. Okay, so where are we going to plug in these input values? On the x, right here. So 2 times -1 is what? -2.
-2.
Minus 3 would be?
-7. -5.
-5. Okay, so now I'm going to plug in the 0 there. 2 times 0 is what?
0.
Minus 3 is just... Plug in the 1. 2 times 1 is? 2. Minus 3 is?
-1.
Very good. 2 times 2 is?
4.
Minus 3 is?
1.
Here's the cool thing. You can kind of check your work really quickly by watching the pattern. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 minus 2 is 1. Well, it's a -1. And then 2 more over on the number line would be a +1. So that's how I always check to make sure I didn't do it wrong in my head. I don't think we had to do anything else but put that in there. Find the domain and range. Oh, then find the domain and range. So the domain is what?
-1, 0, 1, 2.
And the range is what?
-5, -3, -1, 1.
Write those down. Wow, you're going to get a lot of points for this problem.
How much is it?
12 points. Woo! Okay, let's do number 4. You copy it down. I'm going to take pictures. Everybody got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we would be plugging this in, but is that equation in function form?
No.
No, so first I need to get y by itself. How do I move the x?
Subtract x and then.
Subtract the x. So minus x, then I'm left with y equals
Negative.
-x minus 3. Now it's in function form, so I can start solving. So I'm going to take my 0 and I plug it in where that x is. Well, -0 is still 0. 0 minus 3 would be?
-3.
Very good. Plug in a 1, becomes a -1. -1 minus 3 is? Goes further, negative. Plug in a 2, I get -2 minus 3 is?
-5.
What do we think the next one is without even doing the math? Ah, pattern recognition. All right, and then domain and range, don't forget to do that. These are worth a lot of points when you do your homework, guys, for just copying down the work. What's the domain?
0, 1, 2, 3.
Very good. What's the range?
-3. -6, -5.
Oh, good catch. -6, -5, -4, -3.
You missed the negative of the 3.
Thank you. Very good. And there's another 12 points for you.
It's gonna make up 10% of our grade.
You're welcome. Feels like, yeah, this chapter you have a lot of kind of easy points, so all your grades should go up. But assuming you read the instructions, that's where you guys get into trouble. You don't catch that you had to write domain and range after you did the chart. See, if you did it and you didn't do any of this, you're going to get 4 out of 12 points. That's not enough. So make sure you read the instructions really well. Okay, number 5. You don't have to copy this chart down. I just take a picture so we can talk about it. Okay, so they give you this chart on the right, and they tell you the table shows the percent Y of the moon that was visible at midnight, X days after December 17th, 2007. A, interpret the domain and range, and B, what percent of the moon was visible. So just like the example we did. So first of all, what does 0 represent here?
The first night.
Yes, which is?
December 17th.
December 17, very good. So what is 1?
December 18th.
And 2?
19th.
20 and 21. Good. I put that in there now while I'm thinking about it, because you have to have that to answer B. So now, what would the domain be?
0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. And the range would be?
0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6.
Very good.
Wait, Miss, doesn't it say to interpret the domain?
Yep, we're going to do that next. You have to list it first. Okay, so the domain is what?
Days on calendar.
Dates from the calendar. This is not working out for me. Calendar, and the range is?
You don't have to do the thing, right? The graph?
No.
Percentage of the moon was visible.
Very good. Percentage of visible moon. Very good. Yeah, no, you didn't have to write the chart. I just had to put it up here so that way while I'm explaining it, you can look at it. Good. So then B asks us, what percent of the moon was visible on December 21st?
0.6.
0.6, what percent? Make that a percent.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Move the decimal twice, you get what?
6%. 60%.
If I move the decimal twice from 0.6, it becomes 60. This is,
6. Oh, yeah.
that's how you find percent. You put it in a decimal, you move the decimal twice to the right, you can find the percent. If you change percent to decimal, you move the decimal to the left twice, and there's a decimal. All right, that's it. On your own, that's worth a lot of points. I would turn it in, that way you don't lose all those. And then you only do 3 through 6 and 9 through 12. It shouldn't take you that long. A lot of it's just listing domain and range.